Hello and welcome to Thrash Life episode 5. It's me, your boy, here with your boy, Kyle, as well. Today we're going to be interviewing Brian Noel Jr., metal man from Hagerstown. Used to have some long hair, might still have some long hair. We'll have to check in on his long hair.
Check in on that hair.
First, we're going to talk about not news.
Nope.
No, this is going to be released, should be released Christmas Eve.
Right?
Yeah, so
Merry Christmas, everybody.
yeah, if you celebrate, or merry whatever else, happy holidays.
Yeah, whatever. Just have a good night.
Yeah. Enjoy the day off. You probably got the day off. We're gonna talk about our top fives from this year. Top 5 favorites in a couple of categories. Just wrapping up what we really liked in 2021. Really weird year, and we'll start it off, since this is obviously a podcast about music. We're going to talk about the top 5 music acts that we got into this year.
All right.
I'll start. I'll start with my number 5. This year, I got into Wolfpack, which is a
Joe Dart.
yeah, a funk collective with I believe Nate Smith on drums, and the songs aren't particularly long or I don't know, progressive. They're not noodling around like funk and jazz and stuff usually does. They kind of get straight to the point, but man, is it catchy.
Drive.
Yeah.
Music. Yeah. And Joe Dart, I mean, he's a killer bass player. He's pretty hot in the game right now. Big name at the moment.
Yeah, and they have the Fearless Flyers and some other associated acts that all kind of sound similar. But yeah, that's been a lot of my listening in the past year.
Yeah.
My number 5. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is pop music in general. I have a daughter. She's almost 6, and she's recently discovered that there are songs that she likes more than others.
Ah, yeah.
And so I get to listen to them on repeat.
Hell yeah.
Which actually I think is kind of cute, because I remember those days when you just get hooked on one song and it's all you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So
you get Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift and everybody else.
Yeah, and a lot of actually digging up of old stuff that I didn't even know existed, because it makes like a comeback on Roblox as like a remix. And then I gotta find out what this song is and look it up.
Roblox. Okay.
Yeah.
For my number 4, I have the thrash metal act Power Trip. Now, the lead singer Riley Gale recently passed away, and unfortunately, I didn't discover this band until after that happened. I had listened to them a couple times coming through Spotify shuffles or whatnot, and it never really struck me. But the album, the last album that they put out was I believe it was Nightmare Logic, and it was just super sick. They did a bunch of these shows that made their way onto the internet eventually in people's houses. Like there's a video, House of Strombo, where they're playing, and it's all black and white, killer set. And dude just had like a real presence that like I think I just glossed right the fuck over originally.
Yeah, I think I'm guilty of that as well.
And yeah, that was just that's probably been the heaviest thing that I've been listening to, aside from Hammerhead, which is just honorable mention. Hammerhead, a group of 16-year-olds doing some interesting thrash, but
nice.
Power Trip, definitely.
Yeah, they get the edge.
Yeah.
So my number 4 is generally old country, but really been getting into a lot of the stuff that like Willie Nelson does, and a lot of the other guys. I like how it's sort of like similar in a way to like 90s gangsta rap, where you'll have like 5 big names on one song and they'll all do like a similar verse with their own spin on it. And I'm just been really into those kind of things lately. I've spent a lot of time driving for work.
Yeah.
Something about driving through the farm, smelling that cow shit, and just listening to country music.
This is one of the first years I've actually gotten into country as well. Nothing that's actually made my top 5 yet, but I used to be completely shut off to it, and it's definitely something that's coming along now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic country's good. I can't say much for what's going on the radio these days with country.
Yeah, the post 9/11 country is definitely almost a genre in itself, as they decided to instantly rebrand themselves on that day. But so my number 3 is Adam Neely / his band Sungazer.
I've never heard of it.
Adam Neely is a YouTube personality who's a bass player. He's actually was from Silver Spring, and he went to Berkeley, I believe, to learn bass stuff and music stuff and jazz stuff. And then he plays with, I believe, Sean Crowder, a drummer who also went to Berkeley. And so Sungazer's music and Adam Neely's music is has a lot of sample-based stuff. The drummer used the sample pads within the kit.
Oh, I like that.
And like also multiple snares, multiple hi-hats. So you're getting a lot of like unconventional drum beats in odd time signatures with sampled video game and movie clips and stuff like this incorporated into the beat. And then Adam Neely himself also using samples on a piano in front of him while he's also has a bass around him. So they'll have some really sweet bass leads with this like it's like a 2-man band that actually gets pretty thick in the music that they create. Adam Neely I came across because he made a great 1-hour video, I think it was this year, about how music theory pretty much came from Western white dudes with powdered wigs and shit like that. And like the way that we think about music theory is directly influenced from European colonial shit. And they kind of don't place a lot of emphasis on the way that people made music historically throughout like the world, just like banging on rocks or like
it's almost like, you know, credits given for the invention of music to all these piano composers.
Yeah, and it's
like there was definitely earlier forms of music that didn't follow these rules.
Yeah, and like notes like being, you know, A B C D E F G and stuff like that. Like certain cultures don't adhere to the same frequencies and things like that. But yeah, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a Philadelphia-based grind band called Ground.
Ground, okay.
Not your typical grind band. They actually refer to themselves as False Grind.
Okay.
There's
is that
a
ironic?
lot of hardcore in there.
There's like a phrase that's like death to false grind, so they just like owned it.
They've
immediately.
Embraced it. Yeah,
okay,
they
cool.
are the False Grind.
Nice.
But yeah, just good heavy stuff.
Right on. They got a bunch of music out.
Yeah, they you know, I can't even think of the one album that I've been listening to a lot. I could look it up, but we don't need to waste the time on it. But it's pretty much just their most recent album is the one I've been listening to a lot.
Right on.
As with a lot of grind bands, sometimes if I just put like their Spotify on and hit the mix, I'll get some stuff where it's like, all right, that's 3 songs that totaled like 33 seconds. It's not really like what I'm into.
Yeah.
And they get a little bit more involved. They have some pretty good music writing chops.
You said Philly based, right?
Yeah.
Well, what up, Ground? Maybe we can play a show with you someday in some of our projects that are all looped under the Medusa Head Media umbrella.
Definitely we get some grind going. I mean, I've played a show with them once before in a grind band that I played in. It was an excellent set. That's kind of when it got me started on them.
Right on. For my number 2, I have a band, all capital letters, Mass of the Fermenting Dregs. And this is a Japanese band. A lot of Japanese music I've always listened to, but I'm always getting deeper and deeper into it. So this year I really started the year listening to Tricot and some American bands that are kind of influenced by Japanese stuff that they're doing. But Mass of the Fermenting Dregs is like kind of a post-punk, post-hardcore
Very
thing.
good name.
Yeah. It's they have a lot of a lot of different styles in there, but it's all got good production. And from what I understand, they have played the U.S. before. There's like a, obviously a big obstacle in going back and forth from Japan right now
Yeah, oh yeah.
and some other countries, but Japan's actually one of the tighter ones, kind of hard to get in and out of there right now. So I hope to see this band in the future, but they are pretty tight. Check out Mass of the Fermenting Dregs.
I know I will.
What about your number two?
My number two is a name that I've been seeing for quite some time on like the, I guess, larger sort of festival circuit. And we'd been offered an opportunity early in the year to open for this person. And it didn't work out, but that's when I started listening to Amigo the Devil.
Ah, right
And it
on.
was not what I was expecting, but I do really enjoy it.
Yeah, Amigo the Devil's got some cool, really passionate lyrics.
Yeah, oh yeah, very emotional, I guess
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah.
But just, I think music helps you experience the world, and sometimes you just need something that's not so aggressive or just fun based.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, here we are at number one. What
Yeah.
you got?
My number one is Lewis Cole and also his band with Genevieve called Knower. I did not know about Lewis Cole until this year. And when I found out about him, I went on a huge deep dive into a bunch of the stuff. This came up through YouTube algorithms, bouncing around different bands. Thundercat, for instance, has played extensively with Lewis Cole. They kind of like trade spots on songs, like back and forth between
Right.
the Thundercat and Lewis Cole. And also, just Lewis Cole's really well known in this new wave of jazz scene. I don't know if it actually has like a proper name like that, but.
Yeah. New jazz with an NU.
Yeah. It's like some people call it like acid jazz and some other stuff. It's got these really fast beats that were kind of something that you'd hear from a drum machine before, but now like the drummers are catching up and like kind of playing
almost exclusively hi-hat and snare work.
Yeah, just super fast, going back and forth between these patterns. But Lewis Cole also has like hilarious themes and improvised solos from multiple members of the band. It kind of reminds me of like a young Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention sort of thing. There's a lot of creative influences in there, and some of the songs are just like fucking hilarious. Like The Government Knows That You Masturbate. It's like a whole song about how the government's watching you through your webcam while you blast off. And yeah, it's just a great stuff, some of the stuff's kind of weird. Like there's a song called My Buick, it sounds like it's very horn based, so it sounds like a Buick that's like fucking up, and like with all the weird percussion and stuff that's going on, you kind of blast that out of your windows, when you're driving down the street, and people are like, what the fuck is this music? Yeah, is your car broken? But yeah, it's great jams. So I definitely suggest, if you haven't checked out Lewis Cole, check out Lewis Cole and the band Knower.
Yeah, alrighty. My number one, it just makes me so damn happy all the time. Mono Neon.
Oh yeah,
I have just more than anything been listening to Mono Neon this year. Another name that I'd always heard as like a killer bass player, without ever really realizing it's also a musical composer that puts out, real songs instead of just videos of them and doing stuff. And so I discovered his music. I'm extremely impressed. His voice is great. He plays the guitar as well. I imagine he is involved in the drumming on his music too, but I haven't really looked into if there's any other players on his albums or not.
Yeah, I know he's done a lot of collaborations with JD Beck and Domi. JD Beck being like super sick 16-year-old drummer, and Domi being a fairly young piano player. And yeah, the music's been creeping on my Spotify as well, so it's definitely good.
An album of him collaborating with a bunch of good jazz players. It's like the Tiny Room Sessions or something like that.
Okay.
So that's a good one it's your instrumental jazz. There's no
Maybe
know,
we should do that in
singing
here.
and
If
everything.
you'd like to see some tiny room sessions in the Orion Studios Medusa Head Media Room,
Yeah,
let us know
that could be fun.
by leaving a comment on this YouTube video.
Be stoked if we get Mono Neon in here.
Yeah, that would be sick. But anyone on our level is welcome
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Let's talk top 5 non-music entertainment or music adjacent streaming, podcasts, YouTube, Twitch, and TV
Right.
sort of stuff.
All right, I'll start off. My number 5 is a YouTuber that I watch a lot of, again, due to my daughter taking over the TV. It's a guy called Dak Blake.
Okay.
And what he does is he plays the game Hello Neighbor,
All right.
but he heavily mods things so that the game won't react correctly, and he's just always goofing off. And it's weird because he's a really good beatboxer, and he works it into like his children's podcast. He's just like a weird guy, but if you look him up, he's been doing it since he was a little kid himself, and now
okay.
he's like older, and he's heavily monetized. So I respect his his grind.
Right on.
And of all the things I'm forced to watch, he's the most tolerable.
Yeah, yeah. My number 5 is Rudy Ayub, who is a guitar player who makes meme videos on YouTube. Well, half meme videos and half some like react videos where he looks for people's bands and then or people submit his bands. He doesn't go out looking for them.
Right.
But people submit bands to him and he kind of shits on them. Or if not shit, just is very
Roasts
real.
him.
Yeah, it's good natured,
A
but it's
roast is
also
in good
real.
nature.
You might say something like, "Oh yeah, you guys are like the best metalcore in the band in the world," but like,
Yeah.
so what?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I've watched that with you in here.
Yeah, yeah.
He's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you're getting yourself into if you submit your music to him. I feel like so.
He does a bunch of those videos where he plays both roles, like a guitar student talking to a guitar teacher, and they'll be on both acting things, and it's just like short 2-minute videos, just ripping on guitar player shit.
Yeah.
So I recommend.
Yeah. So for number 4, I can really only handle so much real world news. So I listen to a show every morning while I drink my coffee called Today Explained, where they just pick one large news story, cover it for about 30 minutes, and that way at least I know one thing that people are talking about every day.
Right. My number 4 is Davey 504, bass player, not in a band that I'm aware of, not a music producer type guy like Adam Neely. Davey 504 makes
Jared Dines type.
Yeah, he makes bass memes.
Yeah.
He gets in like bass battles.
Oh, that's right. He plays like the 2-string bass.
Any bass
stuff,
really. He'll be
yeah.
like gold strings, or what if we play the bass with 1 string? What if we play the bass with 12 strings?
Yeah.
Every video is just sort of a bass meme, and he'll often play very popular intros to TV shows and stuff like that on bass. So, pretty funny guy. Lives in Indonesia. Occasionally does some nice stuff, like gives out a bunch of free basses and stuff like that. So
nice. Well, for my number 3 is a podcast about football called Around the NFL.
Okay.
It comes out twice a week. I think maybe sometimes 3 times a week. And they generally just cover the games that have happened, but I've been listening to it for a while, and it's one of those things where it's like a one-sided sort of like friendship thing where like you get to know the hosts. They don't know me. They don't know anything about me, but like I just generally like them as people.
You have the
I
personal
like to listen
rapport,
to them, And this past year, one of them passed away from cancer, so it's been an interesting spin because they've definitely been affected by it in their podcast. Like they've been open about it. So it's been more than just football this year listening to it. But I just, shout out to the Around the NFL guys.
Yeah.
I like that podcast.
Our condolences from the Thrash Life podcast.
Yeah.
Well, my number 3 is Sea Dog VA slash Trash Taste. Trash Taste is a podcast. Sea Dog VA is a guy named Connor who's a voice actor. He's Welsh, but he
Okay.
lives in Japan.
Hmm.
And he and some other guys do a podcast about their lives in Japan as expats from uh, Britain and Australia, and it's a very interesting weekly 2 hours, usually having to do with um, typical Japanese stuff,
Okay.
not actually anime that often or like manga or video games. So they do reference it. It's mostly about like actually living in a different place and like the logistics of travel. And they also do a lot of YouTube videos. The individual people like Sea Dog VA, where they go to different places in Japan, have like a 20-minute video, Cat Island or some shit. So something really interesting because Japan is just content gold mine as far
Yeah.
as like weird shit going on everywhere.
That's what is the trash taste aspect of that?
So Trash Taste is just what they named their podcast because
Oh,
I
okay.
guess they feel they have trash taste, which
Okay.
occasionally they do, and other
Yeah.
times it's just kind of funny.
It's that for a second I thought it was a different podcast that my wife watches a lot. That's these two guys in Philly, and it's called "Are You Trash?"
Ah,
And it's like very like like their set is like a wood panel basement with like there's blue tin Danish cookies
oh, okay.
sitting there and like all kinds of stuff in the background. That's just like typical like Philly, Baltimore kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
things like that. But yeah, so that'd be an honorable mention for me. That's not really my thing. That's hers.
Right
I
on.
thought that's what you were talking about. I was gonna be pretty surprised there.
Nah.
Yeah. So my number two is a podcast called Monsters Among Us, which is sort of like what Art Bell used to do. It's like but it's in a podcast form where people will call in and tell their weird and creepy unexplained stories about UFOs or cryptids or any sorts of things like that.
Hmm.
And the host is kind of just there to guide you along. He's generally, though he is like a believer in this stuff, always gives like the skeptic point of view and tries to disprove things so that it feels a little
Okay.
bit more legitimate because he's not like totally buying in. He'll often like be like, "Oh, I've heard of this phenomenon before, and it's actually this
Right.
explained thing that's going on."
Right. My number 2 is Wuxia Central, which is a channel on Twitch that is up usually 24 hours a day. What it is super pirated, bootlegged old, Chinese
Yeah.
martial arts movies
Ah.
just constantly streaming with the worst dubs ever.
Ah.
And it's like it's become almost like a ritual now. Like in the past, I might have turned on my computer after I get home and I might have popped on Facebook or YouTube. Now, almost exclusively, I pop on Twitch and I pop on Wuxia Central first just to see what sort of fucking gonzo ass movie they're playing. Because I like the Shaw Scope stuff. I like the stuff that all the Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and everything used to be in. But there's a lot of these movies that were buried, and like I don't know who has the rights to them, but they're not out there. They're not particularly good movies either. So
Right.
it's not like you really
But
should go looking for them.
like sort of the charm of them, though,
Yeah,
is that they're
yeah.
bad.
They're like super grainy. It's like like you're talking like less than 240p, like
Oh
like
wow.
16p or something. Like you could put this thing on a flip phone. But
Yeah.
all the audio is there, and they usually have about around 100 people watching at a time. So the chat, like whenever something, like everybody's pretty quiet, but whenever something happens in chat, everybody gets to be like, "What the fuck is this movie?"
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, it just erupts with, all the information dumping about what's going
Right.
on.
Hmm.
Number one.
My number one is a podcast called True Crime Garage. Another thing I've been listening to for years, but it's pretty dominant on my priorities. Like when podcasts drop, I usually listen to it right when it comes out. It's about an hour, hour and a half, 2 episodes a week, and they just cover true crime cases. And it's a cool podcast because it started very much like what we're doing with just two guys in a garage that wanted to start a podcast.
Nice.
And they weren't very good. And they got better.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Trying to get better.
It's a pretty top level podcast now. If you're into true crime, it's like, top 3 out there.
My number 1 is the podcast This Land, which released season 2 this year. This Land is a podcast by Native Americans telling Native American stories about how fucked up it still is. It's like all the sort of stuff that kind of gets swept up in the rug, swept up under the rug, or very confused and mixed up, because if you're not a person who lives on a reservation, you probably don't understand the ins and outs about how the reservations interact with the people that are around the reservation, like the other municipalities and stuff like that. Season 1 was about a murder case in which murder took place on possibly Indian land, possibly not, which opened up the discussion of what is Indian land, what does it mean to be part of a tribe. It's a common talking point that if you're saying that a tribe is based upon just Native American blood, then that's racist, and we're not racist in America, so you have to get rid of the tribe because the tribe is racist, which is just circular bullshit logic to try to kick these people who are historically extremely disparaged. We kick this proverbial can across the fucking country, and they're still shitting on the reservations in any way that they can.
That's actually been a popular theme this year in a lot of true crime, is the missing and murdered Indigenous women.
Yes.
Just it doesn't even get swept under the rug. It just stays on top of the rug because of what you're talking about with the way that both municipalities just look at the other one and be like, I don't know, it's not my problem, it's your problem. And so then it just never gets solved and nobody does anything. Yeah. And it's to the point now where predatory people know that they can go to the reservation and it's just no law. They can do anything they want there.
Yep. So season 2 deals with another phenomenon that happens to Native Americans, which is that people try to adopt Native American children because they're wanting to adopt for a variety of reasons. Yeah. But there is a law in the books called EQUA, which prevents you, or it doesn't prevent you, it gives first choice for placement to Native American families so that Native Americans don't get separated and dispersed and essentially systematically disassembling a tribe by just giving all the kids away. And forcibly in the past they went to schools and just took the kids. So there's a history here where it's it's not even necessarily that anybody was a bad parent or anything. Historically it's really shitty, but these evangelical people who feel the need to adopt as many people as possible also feel the need to stick their nose in this stuff. And it is a fascinating story. I don't want to spoil the whole thing. I think it's worth listening to in somebody else's voice than my own, because I'm not going to do it justice at all.
I'll listen to that one. That sounds sort of up my alley and similar to I think it was season 3 came out this year of a podcast called Up and Vanished that's about a Native American woman that was presumably murdered. She's just been gone for a long time, but it's in real time he goes to the reservation and starts talking to people until he puts the case together, and then but it kind of just ended without any resolution.
So. Yeah, it's tough. Anyway, let's switch to some happy stuff. Top 5 foods that we ate this year.
All right.
So my number 5. Earlier this year, I went to help a friend move, and we went to Boston. And on that day, we went to Cusser's Roast Beef and Seafood. It is on the side of a place called Moon Cusser, which is a very really fancy seafood place.
They got Filthy Mouth in that place?
I have no idea. So on the side, there's like it's like the same kitchen, I guess. There's like just a window on the side, and you can order, some of their items, being like a lobster roll and a roast beef sandwich is what they're really known for.
Yeah.
So my buddy got the lobster roll, and I got the roast beef sandwich, and this is like the best roast beef sandwich. I would consider. I mean, obviously there's a lot of other stuff going on in Boston that I can do as well, but if I go to Boston, I'm going to have to get this sandwich again.
Yeah.
It is that good.
I'd have to get the lobster roll. I've never had like a real lobster roll.
The lobster roll was pretty good. It was good too. I've never had a lobster roll before, but I tried some of his, and I was like, it's good. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
alrighty. So my number 5 would be actually a food that I missed out on this year. Really love Thrasher's French fries at the beach, and well, I did make it to the beach this year. It was, still sort of COVID-y, so I was like, Thrashers, you can see the people sweating on the French fries while they're like making them. So
yeah.
Just wasn't really comfortable with that level of
I'm sure the salt balances
food
it out,
contamination,
maybe.
but hopefully I'll be able to get back to a world where I can eat someone else's sweat on my French fries.
Yeah, Thrasher's French fries, famous Ocean City staple.
Yeah.
My number 4, Brussels sprouts. Would you believe that if you cut a Brussels sprout in half, drizzle it with some olive oil, hit it with blackened seasoning, preferably Zatarain's blackened seasoning. I think what you really want in here is some MSG to really bring out them flavors. So if you don't have the Zatarain's, you can get some other blackened seasoning and then add accent on top, which is the MSG stuff you can get from the store. The way that I've had Brussels sprouts before would be like steamed in butter, which is fine, but this like roasted Brussels sprout, oily Brussels sprout is real good.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't make Brussels sprouts correctly, and if you make Brussels sprouts correctly, they are delicious and you will love them, and you should try it out.
I completely agree. I usually make them with bacon fat instead of butter. But I have also taken to, say you want something with like a cabbage element to it, but you don't want to buy a whole head of cabbage. You just get a bag of Brussels sprouts and chop them up. You got like a cabbage thing going on.
Yeah, that's
there.
a good plan.
But for me, I'm sort of not really allowed to eat Brussels sprouts because of the gas that they cause for me.
Okay.
It is bad. It is like the worst food. Like, it just sets me off.
Not me, but
I love them. So, for me, there is a place. Actually, you've been there. It used to be called Reliance Cafe. It was a bar, and it's gone through several different restaurants. And finally, a Jamaican jerk place has stuck, and just regular jerk chicken and rice from that place is really good.
This is in New York.
Yeah, and it's like right near where I work, so if I want to grab it for lunch, it's pretty easy to just pop in and get it.
Well, shit, I'm going up there later. I might have to get some jerk chicken.
Yeah, there's another jerk place too that I haven't tried yet, but I've heard good things about that one as well. It's on North George Street. Used to be a Dunkin' Donuts.
Right on. My number 3 food this year, homemade curry. So at the grocery store they sell S&B curry, which is the brand from Japan. It's like a curry cube, and you essentially make a pot roast. You just like some sort of stewed protein. If you're doing tofu, I would suggest not doing the tofu the whole time you cook it and do the tofu at the end. But otherwise, if you're doing a meat, you have it in there simmering all day. Carrots, potatoes, other vegetables to your liking.
Get yourself a tagine.
Yeah, I do have some tagine at home, actually. But so you throw on these cubes, you throw in some water, and it's kind of like a gravy base, but Japanese curry is similar to British curry. It's just even if they call it spicy, it's kind of mild spicy.
Yeah.
But it's just great prep food. Like we got a giant Dutch oven last year or the beginning of this year, and we make a ton of curry, and then we bag it up, and we just have curry for dinner like 4 nights out of the week, and
I do love some braised meat.
it never gets old. It's wild because like it's
the spices probably.
yeah, the spices, and it has that MSG. Let me rep their MSG again. You got to have that MSG in there. It's so good. It makes your stuff taste so good. So yeah, homemade curry, the Japanese style, I would totally suggest it. Also, you got to get some jasmine rice because you get some bullshit like minute rice.
Yeah.
No, jasmine rice sets it off. You get some curry, some rice.
Yeah.
Man, it is real good.
Yeah, I've actually discovered jasmine rice at home this year.
Yeah, jasmine rice is where it's at.
The rice,
Yeah.
So, what do we have here? Is this number 3 for me?
Yeah.
Well, this one's pretty easy. Went to a wedding this past summer, and I got a filet and crab cake, which is something I traditionally wouldn't order at a restaurant because I'm more of a quantity over quality kind of guy.
Yeah.
But goddamn, it was delicious, and I may have to rethink my approach to menus after this.
Where was this wedding at?
It was at the Rehoboth Beach Country Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out Rehoboth Beach Country Club.
Yeah, congrats, Matt and Kat.
Right on. Congrats. My number 2. So this year, for our wedding anniversary, I took my partner to Walt Disney World. And while we were there, we went to Epcot, where they had the Food and Wine Festival. A lot of good individual booths, which tons of stuff, tons of booze, tons of good food, vegan food, everything.
Didn't you try a bunch of different sodas?
Yeah, a bunch of different, all the different Coca-Cola sodas and stuff like that. And one of the things that got me was spanakopita, which is like it's I believe spinach and feta cheese in like a phyllo dough, like a thin pie crust, like made into a triangle and like golden brown oven. Yeah. And I haven't had this in years. And I remember like upon seeing it, I was just like, I haven't had this in years. So I got it and I was like, this is fucking amazing. And since then, I've picked up some spanakopita from some other places. It's not easy to get. First of all,
yeah, and it's not really easy to make either.
It's not easy to make
it for yourself.
So the other ones that I got have not been as good as the Food and Wine Festival spanakopita at the Greece Pavilion. They were doing a thing with ratatouille, so it was like if you get a bunch of different cheese things, you get like some sort of cheese award.
Yeah.
I didn't win the cheese award. I wasn't trying to load up on cheese all day, but the spanakopita, amazing. Would definitely suggest the Food and Wine Festival at Epcot. It was a blast. I think it runs like half a year every year. So
okay, so it's not hard to schedule.
It's not hard to schedule. It means that you have to be in Florida in the summer as opposed to like, us being up north or, middle of north.
We east.
Yeah, we like you typically want to leave the cold and go down there and enjoy the warmth, but it's pretty hot down there, so it was also a little bit hard to eat and drink with it being like 90 degrees.
Yeah,
but it was fine. We make do. We make it work.
So my number 2, I did not make it to the original location in Pittsburgh, but I would like to. But we've got a Primanti Brothers in York now.
Whoa!
And I just got the Primanti burger. Just, regular burger with a bunch of French fries on it.
Right on.
And it was one of the better burgers I've had. Good enough to be number 2 on my list here.
I had the opportunity to go over there to the Hagerstown one.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't take it.
Why not?
I was actually doing my mass vaccination back when the vaccine first rolled out. And I went all the way out there to Hagerstown, got my vaccine, and I was like, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel, so I want to get on the road and get back home in case I feel like shit in an hour. My number 1, just talked about being at Walt Disney World. We stayed at the Coronado Springs Resort, and at the top of the Coronado Springs Resort is the Dahlia Lounge, as well as some other like really fancy steak place on the other side. But we get there, we're like walking around Disney World all day. We had stayed somewhere close, but we had pulled into Disney at 7 a.m. to get our cards. They told us our room was ready already, which it wasn't supposed to be ready until 3 p.m. So we get to move into our room early, get our like passes and everything. Have a really extremely long day at Disney World. The first day, this was our actual anniversary day. and we get back, we do Disney Springs and some other stuff, and 11:30 p.m. we roll into this place that closes at 12, and we're like, I need something to eat, and I need as many cocktails as I can feed into myself before this place closes. So I get a nice old fashioned, and I get the ham and cheese bocadillo at the Dahlia Lounge. And let me tell you, I've never had a fucking sandwich that tasted this good. I'm not sure.
What is a bocadillo?
It's like, so it's a toasted baguette, like not a whole baguette. It's like a small baguette. Some sort of very fancy smoked, delicious cheese. Some sort of delicious Dijon spread, as well as like this ham was not just like some Oscar Mayer shit. This was like some really fancy, like, charcuterie ham thing. And the combination of all these things, the salt and the fat and everything. And maybe it was just because I had walked 16 miles around Disney World and been up since 6 a.m. that day running around.
Right.
But oh my god, this was like easily the tastiest thing. Like when it was ordered, I was like, yeah, whatever, we're eating bar food. And then like you bite into it, and it was like, holy shit, like what the hell? This has no right being this good. But yeah, that's definitely my top, and one of the major influencing factors in me considering hightailing it right back there is the next possible opportunity that I get in.
Oh, my number one this year, I've gotten pretty heavily into seafood. I found a good seafood market in York, which is not that easy to find, being that we're not very close to the water.
Yeah.
And started off, just trying out all the different kinds of fish. I've always been into raw oysters, like served at a restaurant or something like that, but always been a little bit intimidated by the prospect of shucking them at home.
Right.
And so one time I was in there and I just bought a couple, and it wasn't really that difficult to do. So got into raw. I've had more raw oysters this year than probably the whole rest of my life.
Oh, wow.
Combined. Like enough that I've been... Like I have a favorite oyster type. Like
okay.
Moonstone oysters are tops for me.
Nice.
But just raw oysters in general is my number one for sure.
I've never gotten into oysters or clams or mussels or anything else like that. So maybe eventually I'll try.
Raw oysters just essentially tastes like the essence of the ocean. So it's just briny. You put a little cocktail sauce on it.
And slurp it down,
Where they give you a little tiny fork.
Nice. I like cute things, so maybe I'll be into it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the top 5 things that we did this year, or pastimes.
Sorry.
Your number 5.
My number 5, I kind of have to qualify it as a pastime to make myself feel better about how little money I allow them to pay me to do this new job that I've gotten into, but I pretty much roll tires around and drive them places, and just driving in general. I enjoy my time driving, so I've been doing a ton of just driving around, listening to music.
Nice. Yeah, I got that on my list too, a little further down. My number 5 is Pillars of Eternity. Okay. This game that is on Steam and every console. It is a clone, maybe not a clone, a reimagining, maybe not a reimagining, a furthering of the old game Baldur's Gate. Not Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, just the real Baldur's Gate that was on PC. And it has to deal with ghosts and wizards and robots and putting ghosts in robots and wizard ghosts. Wizard robots. It's tactical. It's
That's
kind of
actually my number 4 as well. So
okay.
I beat the first one.
Nice.
Didn't complete the second one yet.
Yeah. I've not even started into the second one, and I'm grinding away still at the first one to get every little secret thing because I'm just a completionist
I didn't
that.
do the completionist aspect. I just got through the storyline.
Yeah, I probably have like 80 hours into it at this point. Yeah. It's a pretty fun game.
It's an excellent game. It really is.
There's a lot of thought into it. It was actually kickstarted, and there's a lot of things in the game that were drawn from the community who paid to finance the game. So
yeah, those types of games, I love loot. I like to get loot. And there's
So
a
much
ton
loot.
of
Oh
loot
my
in this
god.
game.
And they don't penalize you either. They're like, yeah, you can just like
Carry it.
teleport all this shit into your stash
Yeah.
and everything. So you just have so much gear.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
So I guess now we're at your number 3, though, because...
well, yeah, well, my number 4 is,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. That was my number 4.
is Magic the Gathering, which is a game that I've played for so freaking long. Let me tell you, since I was like 14 or something, or maybe actually, no, since I was like in middle school, some kid taught me how to play
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering and Boy Scouts
Yep.
on a trip or something. And I've been playing this on and off for a while. I used to do competitive grinding sort of stuff whenever I had time. All of that is dried up during the pandemic. So I've gotten a lot more into the collection aspect this year. And there's been a lot of cool things that they did to make it easy to collect. So they came out with the Dungeon and Dragons set that had alternate arts that looked like the Dungeons and Dragons monster manual and had a lot of iconic characters from all the novels that I grew up with and stuff like
okay.
that. So I've definitely just collected a lot of
Man, I
bullshit
remember
cards.
those Magic the Gathering novels. I forgot all about
Yeah,
them.
yeah. And I've just I've been having a lot of fun just silently growing my collection without talking too much about it. And obviously I have a lot of really powerful decks or whatever people say. But for me, the thrill is just kind of in having these boxes full of shit that I just pop out and look at sometimes.
Right, yeah.
I just like it. I just think it's neat.
Yeah, I was into Magic the Gathering when I was around high school age as well. Got out of it, and this past year I got into the online version quite heavily for a short period of time, but just like I guess the internet has sort of broken a lot of things for me in the way
Yeah.
that highly competitive people will just like skip what is to me the fun part of figuring things out
Right.
and just go look it up, and then get your chance to figure it out because you just get stomped by these people that are like just spamming the same strategies.
Yeah.
And so you and I naturally don't want to use that strategy because it's the one everybody's using.
Yeah.
And it just kind of takes the fun out of it.
The design has been kind of lacking within the past couple of years as far as the gameplay goes. So it's actually a good time for them to not have a competitive circuit because I don't necessarily want to be in these things where it's not even rock paper scissors. It's just two sides of a coin or something for strategy sometimes. So is what it is.
Yep.
How about your number 3?
My number 3 would be that I've had a reignition in my interest in pedals and effects.
Ooh.
Which I've built my first pedal board this year, but it's been messing around with some new pedals that I haven't used in the past and bringing out some old ones and just having a general interest to just play around and see what kind of weird noises I can make.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten into that as well. My number 3, however, is cocktails. So my partner just bought me a bartending kit as well as 2 lofty tomes of knowledge of cocktail knowledge, one of which has segments for how to make every drink on multiple budgets, from a cheap budget to a really expensive budget, and what kind of ingredients change up in the process of going from budget to expensive. And then another one that is more about the ingredients themselves and how to focus on creating interesting simple syrups and bitters by yourself and making these cocktails a little bit more personally and a little bit more in depth and stuff. And I've really just fell in love this year with scotch and whiskey, and not in an unhealthy way. I have just a little bit occasionally. I like the old-fashioned, really opening up the flavor profiles of like different whiskeys and stuff, and as well as just trying out a lot of different whiskey cocktails and gins and kind of floating away from the vodka and stuff that I used to be really heavy into.
Oh, yeah. I can't do vodka anymore. My go-to is tequila these days, but I don't drink much liquor.
Yeah, tequila's the territory that I'm the least familiar with still, but
there's not a lot of popular drinks that I know of off the top of my head that you can just order that's a tequila drink.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so my number 2, I've also come to the realization that my bass playing has been very stagnant and sort of laser focused on just one thing. And just coming to a lot of the new music I discovered this year, and just coming to the realizations that there's a lot more music out there to at least attempt to play and learn new things.
Mono neon.
So I've just been interested in the bass as an instrument again, rather than just like learning the songs that I'm supposed to know. On it.
Yeah. My number 2 is road trips. Okay. I took a couple road trips this year. I took a couple road trips before. I've in the past gone to the Grand Canyon, just in a car and whatnot. This year I went to Boston in a U-Haul to help my buddy. That was an 8-hour drive. And then I also went later this year all the way down to Key West, Florida from Baltimore, and back up to Miami and Orlando and that place with the St. Augustine. And Jacksonville. Yeah. And at the end of my Florida trip, my drive back from Florida was 16 and a half hours straight. And I was like, wow, I'm not sure if I could do road trips anymore. And it only took about a month until my timer reset. And I was like, damn, I just can't wait to go back out on a road trip. And I'm not sure what it is.
Be careful with that. 16 and a half hour straight drive.
Well, I mean, I stopped for, to get food and go to the bathroom and stuff.
If you drive commercially, by law, you're not allowed to drive more than 11 hours.
It's true. This is why we're driving personally instead of commercially.
Those laws are there for your safety.
Yes. And luckily, all those truck drivers who are required to get off the road so I can drive. And it's really fun. I don't know. There's something about seeing the open road and the way that the trees and the earth itself changes around you once you go far enough. Yep. It's just it's really relaxing. I love just having a car with cruise control and going straight somewhere and going in a direction straight. So
yeah, I agree with you. I haven't had a lot of road trips recently, but I do love a good road trip.
Yeah.
My number 1, this is extremely nerdy, I guess, but I play the EA Sports NHL franchise. Right now it's currently NHL 22 in a league setting, and this game, unlike a lot of other sports games, has a mode where you play online and you just control one player, and that's it. So there's 12 people playing all at once, and your team is obviously 6, and you have to actually like play as a team and understand like hockey and stuff. And I'm pretty terrible, but I have managed to find a place in this league for the past 5 seasons. So
nice.
It's to me, I enjoy. Which I'm sure these other guys are probably just like big time hockey fans or whatever. But for me, it's almost like a role playing experience because of the there's like a Discord for your team. And so like I'll go into each season like this past season, I was like, all right, this season I'm just going to be like the perfect teammate, good attitude about everything all the time. That's like the role I'm going to play. And like in the past, I've been just intentionally disruptive just to see how that would go and get traded a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the fun of hockey without having to invest in skates or getting fucked up on the ice.
You don't have to worry about any broken bones or missing teeth.
Yeah, or gravel if you roller hockey.
Yeah.
My number 1 in my top 5 pastimes for 2021 is learning guitar and vocals, which vocals at the beginning of this year, We have been writing a few songs for the band that we're in that included me doing vocals at the same time as playing drums. So I had to learn how to multitask as well as make my diaphragm make noises that were coherent. And then I decided,
all while running in place.
yeah. And then I decided to pick up guitar as well. So the ultimate goal is to learn how to do everything at least a little bit well, and helps me understand how to communicate with other musicians when we're not on the shared language of music theory or genre or instrument or whatnot. So
yeah, I'd like to become competent at the guitar over the next year.
yeah, I never really learned too much about guitar besides like GCAD, right? The four open chords. And then like they were like, all right, now do this hand thing for the bar chord. And I'd be like, my hand's too fucking weak. I can't. The last two strings just don't go down. I don't know what to do. So for 10 years, I decided to play bass and drums, and I haven't really touched guitar until this year.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting over the fact that I just have to train my hands to be stronger and actually be able to fret these things, put my fingers in the right place so you don't have the buzzing notes and whatnot. And so right now I'm practicing.
Old bad habits are hard to break.
Oh, yes. Actually, taking a 10-year break was actually kind of nice to unlearn some of the bad habits and come back with a fresh mind. So, learning Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles, speaking of pop music, nice. And Montero by Lil Nas X, and some other stuff that's actually just a few simple chords to play. And also starting to get back into my bullshit that I was doing before, which was a lot of heavy chugga distortion, palm muting, these sort of things, get these really metal tones, and I just can't get away from it. Every time I have some distortion, it's just go into palm muting mode, go it just feels so good. So it's good. I'd really love to do more vocal applications and things where I'm not running at the same time. So in 2022, as we move forward, if you're looking for a vocalist, maybe, just maybe, I'm not going to apply to any bands that are looking for anything very good because I'm not sure what my ability is, all things said and done, but I'd like to give it a try if you can put up with it.
Just wants to come in here and collaborate on a song.
Absolutely.
We're just both, I guess, in the same place where we are looking to expand our musical horizons.
Yeah. And I guess addendum to number one, I didn't put this in here, but obviously we started this podcast this year in 2021. This is a production of Medusa Head Media, our new overarching umbrella for all projects that happen in this room. And editing has taken up so much time. And learning how to tweak these levels and put cameras in the right place. I don't know. Does this camera angle look fine? If you're listening to this on a podcast, you probably don't even know. You'll have to check out the YouTube for it.
So we're firing on all cylinders with trying to learn new things.
Absolutely. And I hope you're enjoying it so far.
Right on.
We're going to get into our interview with Mr. Brian Noel Jr., metal man of Hagerstown.
Make him sound like a cryptid.
He is not actually made out of metal that we know of. Might have to slip that into the questions. We'll see.
Yeah. Are you, in fact, made of metal?
We'd love to hear what your top fives are in any of these categories in the comments below. If you are watching this on YouTube, if you hate our faces and you're listening to the podcast, please leave a review on your podcast platform. We will see it. We will read it live-ish on the air.
Yeah.
We'll do it. But thank you so much for putting up with our top fives this year.
Thanks for sticking with us this long.
Yes.
This is probably our longest segment so far by double.
And we hope you have a great holiday season to finish out the rest of the year. Let's go into our interview with Brian Noel Jr. See ya. Could you introduce yourself and tell us your pronouns?
My name's Brian Joseph Noel Jr. He, him.
Cool. What kind of music do you play?
Right now, I play everything. Mainly metal, punk rock, but I told you earlier, I grew up in the emo metalcore era. Got used to doing that because that was when I graduated high school. Like, I think Mitch Lucker died my senior year. And I was a huge Suicide Silence fan, so I was influenced by them in that whole era. Then, my parents grew me up on 80s glam metal and country music, like classic good country music, not this modern pop crap. Florida Georgia Line makes me want to vomit every time I hear them on the radio. So I grew up doing that, bluegrass, flat picking, and everything like that. Plus a little bit classical flamenco guitar. Originally was classically trained before I got into like death metal and all that other crazy stuff.
Guitar-based music, heavy stuff, non-heavy stuff in the past or current also.
Yeah, No Ransom's getting back together after a 4-year hiatus. Long story short, I was in a pretty toxic relationship the past several years.
Okay.
And it's over, and the band got back together because we all had different things going on the past several years, plus the pandemic. And I was in also a botched autopsy for about a year and a half. Yeah. Right before my daughter was born, leading up to February last year. And their botched autopsy was straight death metal. Like, the only way I can describe them was like our lead singer, Paul Verizer. If anybody knows the punk band Scarecrow's Curse, or like a horror punk band, he's part of them. He was like the mastermind, and they're like, I guess you can take like White Zombie and mix it with, I want to say Cannibal Corpse almost, with riffage and everything.
Okay.
You definitely got botched autopsy, plus a little bit of the theatrics and classic corpse paint.
Oh, nice.
That was one of the gimmicks we were doing, which was fun. It was hella fun. And but No Ransom's like try to put this
Heavy?
not heavy. Well, we're gonna try to go more heavy with the guitars, drums, bass. But Shay, our lead singer, she's like an Amy Winehouse, Lana Del Rey fanatic, but she's also a punk too at heart.
So probably clean vocals instead of the typical.
Because we used to strain back in the day, and she used to do all the screams and gutturals, and it really affected her.
Okay.
And she really couldn't continuously do that. So we want to dive back to vocals. And I know right now the whole trend with Spirit Box and Ginger, where they're like super heavy, but they don't rely on the super heavy vocals. They rely on the cleans and actual vocal acrobatics.
Turning the knobs back on some of the typical metal stuff.
Yeah, but we back in the day when No Ransom got together, like we were so over the place with punk, with metal, with more mainstream and underground sounds. In Western Maryland, we were playing with death metal and like groove metal bands like Disfigured, and then we'll turn around and start playing with like the more mainstream bands like I'm trying to think of the one go one. Crap. I think it was Apollo's Prophecy. Now they're Breach of Silence, because Breach of Silence got back together. Okay. But that's one of the more mainstream bands we played with.
So what kind of places do you play your music in?
No Ransom was so over the place, like I said. We've done house parties. I remember when one of the most memorable gigs we did, we played a show 2 blocks down from the Hagerstown Police Department on Halloween. And we had the cops call us like 5 times and before we had to shut it all down. And but then we play at like bars, dive bars, basements. We play everywhere. The new sound we're going to go for, we're going to go more of a streamlined mainstream-esque sound. Okay. Like I said, we try to get more digestible and then play some of the bigger venues. But I think the best one yet was my personal favorite. If you ever go out to Cumberland, Maryland, the Embassy Theater out there. It's an old 1934 is when it was built, and we did. I think it was called like St. Patty's Day Metal Mayhem or something like that. And for St. Patrick's Day, Cumberland was shut down the entire downtown area for like bar crawls and deals and everything, so everybody can go get plastered. And the Embassy put on metal shows. They're the only metal venue.
Yeah.
And it was kind of awkward because they had like stuff set up for Easter behind us. And, I did it with Botched Autopsy and No Ransom. It's kind of like weird when you're playing heavy metal and like there's Easter props behind you for all the kiddies next week for their
imagery is clashing
for their Christian like play or something like that. And but that's probably my favorite venue right there. But because it's old, it's historic. I'm a history nut. So just walking in there and just seeing everything, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Right on. What's your earliest musical influence? When you first came to the realization as a kid that music was a thing and something suddenly slapped you across the face and was like, wow, like this is music. What was that moment?
I always grew up around music. It's kind of a hard thing to pinpoint. I know, just to show you where all over the place I am, I know my parents tell me my birth song was Don't Take the Girl. I don't know if it's a country song. It was like Johnny's daddy was taking him fishing when he was 8 years old. That was like it's like a really slow, sad song. And like, so they grew me, like I said, I had music in my veins from birth. And when I was 6, my dad got me a drum kit. I played drums until I was 10. I guess the moment was when I wanted to play music full, just even as a hobby. They took me to see Kiss and Poison when I was 10.
Oh.
Then it was Nissan Pavilion. Now it's Jiffy Lube Live.
Yeah.
And that was like my first experience of, holy crap, I want to play guitar. No, screw the drums. I'm going to play guitar, and this is where I'm going to go. And
nice.
Between that moment and my early memories of listening to the Ozzy Osbourne Randy Rhoads tribute album, I listened to that like religiously when I went to bed. That was the last thing I heard. I had headphones on, and I had a nightmare while listening to it. It was weird, and when I woke up, for some reason, I felt so driven to like start fully practicing guitar and take it more seriously.
Oh, the ghost of Randy Rhoads came through in your
dream.
Dude,
it was bizarre. Like I had like visions of flames of some shit, and like woke up and had sleep paralysis. It was nuts. I was like 13 at the time. I think that's when it happened.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess discovery of Randy Rhoads and my parents taking me to that Kiss concert when I was little. I think that was like the start.
With Kiss, was it like the theatrics of it, or was it actually like the music?
It was both. It was both
because
when I really started playing guitar and started like practicing their songs, if you listen to my playing, you can hear like Ace Frehley with all my bends and everything to the T.
Okay.
With like Dimebag and Randy Rhoads influences too.
Right.
But again, more modern stuff influenced me as well. So I think it was both. I mean, first time I ever saw a pair of boobs when I was 10. So
it's pretty young.
That was definitely an influence, I guess. It's a great thing for a 10-year-old to see, by the way.
Yeah. What was it like jamming for the first time with other musicians after, realizing, having a drum set, realizing, seeing some music, realizing you wanted to be part of it and it was cool?
First time I jammed. I think I was 15. No, I was 16. And my first band was the first gig I ever had in that band, the first time I ever jammed with anybody. It was a learning curve. It was weird. It felt awkward at first. And then that's like I told you earlier when I was talking about our drummer, Jay, it takes a lot for me to really mesh with somebody with their playing. And as soon as I do, we're on point. Like just absolutely on point. And it was definitely a learning curve. And, like, it was a shot to the ego, I think I can say, because I was 16, a little shithead 16-year-old. The band had one show and then we broke up.
Right.
And it was actually, believe it or not, a symphonic metal band. We played like Evanescence. I know they're not symphonic metal. But like, yeah, I got in that conversation before a million times. But, you know, we played Evanescence. We played Nightwish, Epica, Leaves Eyes. And I'm trying to think of other bands. Oh, and like me and the drummer and the bass player jammed out to like Dragula from Rob Zombie and Walk from Pantera.
Nice.
For a show. And then after one show, we ended up breaking up.
So were you composing in that band, or were you focusing on covers entirely?
No, just covers.
Okay.
Because, like I said, we were. It was weird. In Hagerstown, we ended up getting denied from the school twice. Actually, there's a Barbara Ingram School for the Arts, and it just got established I want to say sophomore year of high school, and this is like 2010, and everybody in that band but me and the drummer was actually in Barbara Ingram. Like, our singer was actually a classically trained opera singer. Our bass player was actually in it for trombone.
Okay.
And then our keyboardist was in it for keyboards. And like, we just wanted to, like, because they never did anything like this. Well, our bass player did, but our singer and keyboardist never even dreamed of doing anything like that. So we just focused on covers, trying to get stuff in and get stuff done for one show. And then I think some argument happened or something like that. It was some 16-year-old freaking bullshit. And
Right.
broke up after one show. So
right on. How has that changed over the years? Have you been able to compose more?
Oh, yeah.
Are you still doing covers these days?
We literally, last practice we've had, we were talking about covers, and for some reason they started playing Seven Nation Army and almost walked out of the practice room. Until our rhythm guitar started like doing some like tight chugging. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna grab me a beer and I'm just gonna have some fun with this. But ever since that band, I've been composing music, or, you know, having co-songwriters with everything, because I'm more of a person I work really well with people. I think that right now is my favorite part of being in bands, because I get to work with other people and hear different ideas. And for me personally, that makes me a better guitarist, a better songwriter, a better musician in total. Plus a better person.
Do you collaborate with the band when you write the songs? Is it like everybody has a hand?
Almost everybody has a hand. Like, I'll show up. We already started working on new music. We're going to bring back some classic songs from our old set list. But we started writing new music, and ironically, this time around, our singer Shay picked up the bass and started playing 2, or I think it was 3 different parts she had written, and me and her sat down and worked on it. And then we're like, all right, we got so far, and then all of a sudden Jay, our drummer, he's like, yeah, I'm interested in getting back in the band again, let's do it. And he came in, and it was like, we haven't been together in like 4 years, and all of a sudden everything clicked.
Nice.
And now we're looking at almost a completed song within 2 weeks, and we're almost completely happy with, which is pretty good.
Start to finish. That's pretty good pace.
We got a couple parts we're gonna toy with, but of course we're definitely gonna write more stuff.
Okay.
I was playing Knock Loose riffs the other day, and our drummer Jay's like, I want to do something like that. I'm like, well, I just played Knock Loose. You know, instead of being drop A, we're in drop C sharp, and like, I just played Knock Loose. He's like, he looks over at Shay. He's like, I want to do something like that, but I know you can't do it. She's like, I could probably write some light vocal line over top of it, get some atmosphere or some shit.
Right.
But she does more than just sing now. She does keyboard, she does programming, and all sorts of other stuff. So when we come back, we're probably going to start gigging at the end of the year, if not beginning of next year.
Okay.
Just to take our time and do everything right this time, because everybody got 20 million things going on right now in life anyway.
Yeah.
And then, but when we come back, it's gonna be the same band, but it's gonna be underneath a different like soundscape, so to speak.
Right.
something a little familiar, but definitely something fresh.
So you've gone from kid in a bedroom with the drum set to a teenage cover band to actually having a collaborative musical project where multiple people are filling in like a wide variety of instruments and musical angles. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, our let's see, like I've been in, because since I'm 27 now. In the past 11 years, I've been in 6, 7 bands, and it wasn't until I was 19 I started getting like a underground following in our local scene. And at the time, I was a part of a band called Premeditated, and we did like metalcore, deathcore stuff back then.
Okay.
And then that band came and went, and then No Ransom, and then No Ransom went into Botched Autopsy for about a year and a half, and now No Ransom's back, and yeah.
Right on. What's your most extravagant musical goal?
Stop paying for my own equipment. That'd be great. No, extravagant. The only thing I ever wanted, like, of course, back when I was a kid in the bedroom, like, I'm gonna be a rock star, you know.
Yeah.
And then you get into it, and you're like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen anytime fucking soon, buddy. Grow up. And
Hey, you could find some people to strap some cables on you and fly you over the audience
yeah,
if you
right,
want.
right. No, my luck, you'll freaking get tied into a noose. I'll be hanging there by accident. It's just like, what happened, workers' comp? But they, I think the only extravagant goal I have is I want to incorporate. I don't know. I want to be influential in the scene on the light of a good role model.
Okay.
Because I got a daughter now,
Yeah.
and I really stopped the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing because I tell all the time, I never want to be famous because the whole like rock star mentality of getting, you know, all types of screwed up and having fans, that's already happened to me just on a local level in my area
Mm-hmm.
5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
And I don't want that anymore. You know, I got a kid now. It's time to grow up. It's time to stop. You know, do this sensibly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm trying to say. So I like to be a good role model for our local area, and just try to get everybody on the same page because I'm a sucker for good sportsmanship.
Right on.
You know, I want everybody to know without saying peace, love, and harmony. No, but no, it's basically a type of thing. I'm not a fucking hippie, but you know.
Well, rising tide lifts all boats and all that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What about a short-term or immediate musical goal? Do you have anything that you're trying to turn the corner on right now?
Right now, I just want No Ransom to just keep practicing and just keep on going. I want to be more active in our local scene, and I'm starting to, like, basically a lot of my friends from when I was younger are doing more prominent things than just playing in bands
Right.
now. And I know, you know, it's like being here. I'm from Baltimore. Or I'm not from Baltimore, and I'm here. Like,
Right.
I know everyone from everywhere. Like,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I try to be a good dude to everyone. I know right now, I'm just trying to get No Ransom off the ground and on a good platform, a good, steady, you know, vibrant way to just produce music and just be expressive. Right now, I'm actually getting into dirt track racing next year for, I don't know if you know what dirt track racing is. You know what NASCAR is?
I do know what NASCAR is.
All right, think NASCAR, smaller tracks, slower cars, but on dirt.
Okay.
And you got to fishtail around the turns and get speed and everything. So I'm going to be doing that in my local area next season, and I'm going to try to put. It's not official, but one of the local major booking, like music booking companies in my area, Right Live. I'm talks with them on possibly sponsoring me.
Okay.
I would like to incorporate the racing scene and my local music scene and just have everybody support each other, because there's like these cheap racing categories where you can take the fastest car on track right now. I think it's 2004 Chevy Cavalier.
Okay.
You can buy this for like $1,000, slap a roll cage on, and go take it on the track.
All right.
So I came up with a concept. Wouldn't it be cool to any local band pay me or pay somebody like $10 just to slap their band sticker on the car and be like, hey, look, I'm sponsoring a car, and then go on the track.
Yeah.
And then there's extra clout, there's extra promotion. So between that and just getting their ransom off the ground, I want the damage that was done by the pandemic for everybody to completely recover. Because no one really knows how connected Western Maryland, Central Maryland, the DMV scene truly is until you really get integrated in it. Because like we talked on the parking lot, I talked to you about last time I saw you. You're out Western Maryland playing the Wilson Rewington. Yeah. With Ralph way back. I think it was like Ralph, Fortress, Butcher's Hill. I think it was some of the bands back then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I was like 17 or 18 at the time. So
I think you saw various incarnations, Champagne Wizards and some
yeah.
other stuff we were doing.
I think there was one band, I was like Dinosaur Vomit, I want to say.
Oh, Vomiting Dinosaur.
Yeah. They were fucking cool, man.
Yeah, they had really really good riffs.
Yeah, I had long hair at the time with I think I had trips on. I was karate chopping in the fucking pit or some bullshit, because me and my buddies went out back and smoked some weed and then went into the mosh pit and had fun. I'm like, God help me.
I don't remember if we mentioned, we did record the intro separately, but I think we might have mentioned the hair. So the hair is gone officially.
Yeah. Basically, I dyed it black. And it started like the only way, like, it started like frizzing out the fucking hair molecules and shit for dyeing it black.
Okay.
So I just cut it off. And then I rocked a mohawk for 1.5 years, 2 years. And then I just had it cut off again because I hate to say be more professional, but I gotta say I'm trying to be more professional for work.
Yeah, I understand.
And I had to take all my piercings out too. I'm like, God damn it.
How about personal milestones? Have you ever had a moment in your musicianship so far where you feel you've reached a personal milestone?
Are you talking milestone as just a high point in general? Can there be more milestones down the road, or just
certainly one? Yeah just right now, as of right now, like what's something that really strikes out to you as like, wow, that was a thing that we did?
Well, I'm trying to think. Well, I know I did a headline show for my first time with Botched Autopsy. Brandon Wright from Wright Live was very impressed with us and gave us our own headline show. That was cool, but again, with the first time headliner show, no one showed up.
Right.
Like, it was just playing with us in the bands, and the bar we were at was some redneck dive bar out in the boonies. Great place to play if you get a crowd to come in, but the locals are just like, rednecks who just got off of lunch and just want to sit there and drink beer and go out back and chain smoke Marlboro Reds. So they didn't give a shit. But that was still a cool show. And right before my daughter was born, or was it right after? It's right before my daughter was born. I went to the Blue Fox down in Winchester, Virginia, and I did a guitar competition. I placed third.
Wow. Okay.
So that was a big deal for me.
Cool.
Funny enough, shout out my homeboy Connor Mallory. He's in a tech death band called Deathless. Back in the day, he was in Fear. Premeditate and Fear played with each other quite a bit. But he placed second, and he has me. Him and the guy who placed first had me beat by a mile because they're both technical players. But the guy who also placed first has been doing this since like 1978 and done roadie work for like Motley Crue and Poison and Kiss and all that. He knew all the tricks of the trade, so it was like, okay, whatever. But it was kind of cool being placed third and actually being matched up with those two as a player.
Yeah.
Because I got some anxiety and self-confidence issues when it comes to even just playing, especially after I'm sure when No Ransom plays our first show, I'm gonna be a mess because first time in like 2 years I'll be playing probably.
Right.
But being regarded like that was actually pretty special. And plus, when I was up there playing and I got off stage, everyone that was drinking beer ran up and started trying to buy me shots and buy me beer.
Right
I could
on.
have probably placed better if I wasn't so drunk when I got back up on stage.
Right.
Because when we had to do the actual guitar battle, so to speak, I got on stage and I was racked because some lady just bought me a pitcher of beer and 2 shots of Jack, and I'm a small dude. I don't drink much, especially after my daughter's born. I haven't drank at all, but I was absolutely a mess.
Plus, you still got third.
Plus, it was April 20th. It was 420.
Oh,
so I'm
right.
like, and my roommate at the time was a total stoner, so I'm like, oh, great, this is going to be good. Well, guess what, buddy? What? Looks like you're driving.
Yeah.
But that was cool.
Right on. When it comes to creating music and art, are there subjects that you just won't touch? Lines that you won't cross? Controversies, things like that you don't want to be a part of?
No racism, no homophobia, no xenophobia, no anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big proponent of, despite, I'll fully man, I'm a country boy. I grew up in inner city Hagerstown, though, but I deer hunt and fish like a madman.
Mm-hmm.
Our singer told her brother the other day and compared me. What did she say? She said I was a Democratic version of Ted Nugent. I fucking hate Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
Like I've been deer hunting as long as I've been playing music.
Uh-huh.
I hate Ted Nugent. But yeah, the whole racism and stuff. Now, before No Ransom got back together this year, the original bass player of No Ransom,
Mm-hmm.
me and him were talking about doing a side project where it was going to be heavily it was going to be a cross over punk and country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sorry, punk and metal, but it was going to have a really hard country, kick to it.
Yeah.
And we were going to call it, keep this in mind, my buddy Ray, he's my best friend since I was 18. He's Puerto Rican. He has a really dark sense of humor. He wanted to call it White Trash Taco Truck.
Okay.
And we wanted the lyrics provocative, and I kind of wanted it to be like, music that a bunch of, country guys can get together and drink beer and, go catfishing and do all that yeehaw shit. But at the same time, once you actually dig into the lyrics, you see like left-leaning, like not completely left-leaning, political things like, crap. I'm trying to remember some of the songs. I wrote one song that was comparing to I'm trying to remember. It was comparing to like police brutality
Mm-hmm.
to animal abuse, because I'm like very anti both.
Okay.
And just like how people are so sick in the head that they can shoot an animal, or like a dog, like a pet.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's kind of hypocritical being a deer hunter, but but somebody that can do that to a pet and be so psychotic and messed up in the head that they can go out in the street and do that to a regular human being.
Right.
It's comparing one of the two. But that one was going to be probably the most provocative project I was going to do. Now, these days, you got to be more self-conscious about your lyrics. A thesaurus is a great thing in this world.
Yeah.
But all in all, as long as everything's really on the table, as long as it doesn't support racism, homophobia, anti-LGBTQ,
Just bigotry in general,
yeah,
stuff like that.
just nothing bigot.
Cool.
Come from the country, I see a lot of it, plenty of it.
Right, yeah. I've spent a fair amount of time in southern Maryland, and it's kind of pervasive down there as well.
Actually, ironically, speaking about southern Maryland, one of my favorite modern country acts. I know I just badmouth modern punk country, but they're called Brothers Osborne. They're from Southern Maryland, but they moved to Nashville until they got big. I forget what town they're from, but they do like a heavy country rock type thing. And they really don't do the whole Jesus act either. I mean, they got some religious lyrics, but not like praise Jesus, oh Lord, and none of that bullshit.
Right.
But they're actually from Southern Maryland. They're really good. I mean, really, really fucking good. That was actually one of my big influences too.
I'll have to check them out. As a musician, what is your relationship with the term success in music, and do you feel successful?
Success for me can be personal to everyone. So honestly, to me, as long as I'm happy and being creative, I feel successful. As long as I'm bringing joy and positivity to a degree, I know heavy metal being everywhere, right now, Cradle Filth t-shirt and the whole fucking blood and and all that shit, or Ralph being death metal and all that stuff. People would be like, "Oh, that's dark, evil music." But us as metalheads, we see it completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, being successful, I got to make myself feel happy, or I gotta be happy and be expressive, or I should make other people feel happy and be expressive themselves.
Right on.
Because my Hagerstown and stuff, and Baltimore got hit with just the same, but the opioid epidemic smacked us upside the head like a ton of bricks. And I watched a lot of lives get destroyed in our local music scene because of it. So if I can be positive enough to try to get everybody off of drugs and more with a guitar in their hand instead of a needle in their arm, I feel successful. And I feel really successful the way I am right now because I make a lot of people's day. I'm alive a lot of people's lives. I'm despite the custody stuff that I'm going through, and then a couple other, I know financial issues I got right now, but who doesn't? It's a downer, but I feel very happy. So I feel successful right now.
Cool.
Especially being here. Thank you for having me here.
No problem. Thanks for coming in. It's all
thank
about hearing the personal experiences of people who play music of all genres, all levels. Hopefully we can get someone really big in here to talk about their personal experience and shed some light from the other end of the spectrum.
Should get somebody from Dying Fetus to come in here.
It would
That'd be fucking banging.
That could be possible. We'll have to see.
Really?
We'll reach out.
Oh, I'm excited.
I think the guys from Dying Fetus still practice right across the way, so.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was in that part of Baltimore. Holy crap. Like I said, it's been a long time since I came down this way.
Yeah, they're pretty busy guys.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I'm not sure. I mean, maybe. I'll reach out.
Are they on tour right now?
Possibly. Hey, if you're in Dying Fetus and you're watching this podcast on YouTube or listening to the audio version, reach out. medusaheadmedia@gmail.com, and we'll definitely set something up in the future.
Cool.
So, what has been the most difficult part about making music or being a musician for you?
Even though I just said this about success, but honestly, having a positive working environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's their own person. Everyone's gonna have a bad day. Everyone's gonna not come to practice. It's some long lines goes like that. So creating a positive working environment and maintaining it, number one, I think that's the hardest thing because sometimes shit happens.
Yeah.
Being the age I am now compared 10, 11 years ago when I was a teenager, like I said, back then I was a shithead and kind of a negative individual to be around, and it took some time to learn and become an adult, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Just trying to get that positive work environment, and scheduling happens. Just trying to be flexible, and plus the jobs and everything like that, and working for my parents right now, or been working for my parents for 5 years straight now, and probably got at least almost just shy of a decade worth of experience, is a major pain in the ass, especially living in Hagerstown and driving 2 hours east or west or south or whatnot, and then trying to get back before band practice. I'm usually the one that's always late. I'm that asshole. I try not to be, but
yeah, it happens.
I always give everybody an hour call, heads up. So
Right. So I'm not sure how much you were affected by this growing up, but at a certain point, Napster came out and made music essentially free with peer-to-peer downloads. Afterwards, it was LimeWire, Kazaa made music free, peer-to-peer
the
downloads.
computer aids.
Burning CDRs, which wasn't really new. People always copied tapes and stuff. But for my generation and people younger, music was hugely devalued and is only now worth 0.0001 cent per stream.
I think it was 0.000.9, I think.
Something like that.
Still not enough money.
Not enough money at all. So, do you believe that the songs have monetary value?
Yeah, eventually the songs do have monetary value. I remember an interview, because I gotta stop talking about Cradle of Filth with a Cradle of Filth t-shirt on, but
Hey, Cradle of Filth's great. I'm down with it.
just saw him. I saw him in October for the first time. Been trying to go see him for like 5 years now,
Okay.
and shit keeps on happening.
Yeah.
And I finally got to see him back in October. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But, you know, me being me, I spent most of the time in the mosh pit instead of watching. So, no, but Danny Filth said this interview that if he would start a new band now, straight from scratch, he would have done a demo so you can have music and then focus on a music video. So you can't have a band without music. You can't have an image without music.
Right.
So music these days feel like you're trying to sell, like you must have a soundtrack to something you're trying to sell in general.
It's like a package deal now.
Yeah. And it kind of sucks, but it's kind of good. We need more, honestly, for me, stuff like this podcast, and then back, you know, my area with the Wilson King podcast and Right Live, and, you know, and more media. We needed to flood the market with more media for the local scenes, for the smaller bands, because the only thing the smaller bands have is music. That's the only thing we got. So in order to bring their music to a limelight, hear somebody listen to it for free on Spotify, and then, hey, I really like this band. Well, I'm gonna go buy your physical copy now.
Right.
You know, it seems like music is just a platform to sell something else, is what it feels like now.
Right.
You know,
Do you think that being a musician is a viable job anymore?
if you market yourself right, if
do
you put
hustle.
enough effort behind it, yeah. But at the same time, you gotta sell your soul somewhere along the lines in order to make a quick buck.
Right.
Is what it feels like, and you can't, you know, it's a tit for tat world out there. I mean, being in just being in the fire sprinklers business and watching my family grow their company, I just on that and how cutthroat construction is itself, the music industry is just a whole other ball game. So yeah, it's just a super cutthroat world out there with just music in general.
Yeah. Maybe if you hustle, you can get there.
Yeah,
You're definitely going to have the hustle to even think about trying
hustle.
it.
I think the most underrated quality in order to hustle is actually the patience. Everyone can hustle.
Yeah.
Everyone can hustle. Not a lot of people can be patient.
The consistent output
and just keep on consistent,
the grind
stuff out. Half the reason why me and No Ransom is trying to do stuff slow, because, you know, Jay has 3 kids. Our drummer Jay has 3 kids, and then he owns his own business now with the Doghouse restaurant in Hagerstown.
Okay.
They do like artists. The only way to describe them is a really good hot dog shop. And they serve beer. They serve all types of beer. They don't serve liquor, but they serve beer. They serve artisan style hot dogs and burgers,
Okay.
and he makes really good money at that. So that's his. He got that going on, and he has, I think, like 3 kids. I got a 2-year-old daughter, which just absolutely changed my world.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, working for the family, everybody got jobs, everybody got something. So instead of trying to come back and be like, yeah, we're gonna play shows this summer, we're just like, let's just carry this on and let's try to get a product out that we feel proud of and we fully enjoy and like. We're going. I think the plan is possibly recording a EP,
Mm-hmm.
or trying to get some media out there before we start playing shows.
Right.
So again, ties in. Does music have monetary value? Yeah. If the music sells something else.
Right.
So if we put music out there, we can probably encourage more people through social media and everything to, buy a ticket to a show.
Yeah.
Or buy merch.
It's like a promotional tool for
yeah.
the live performance. What do you do to finance the music these days?
Work.
It's purely 9 to 5.
Yeah, purely 9 to 5. There's really no other way. Now, I need to diversify my income portfolio. I want to start getting in the stock market a little bit and try to start, doing all like the online apps and whatnot. What's that? What's that one online software that totally screwed up the GME last year?
The Robinhood.
Yeah, screw those guys. So I'm not going to use Robinhood when I do that. I know people who still invest stocks in the GME just to screw with people.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you throwing away all that money? Just kill the damn dead horse already, man. Stop kicking. And they're like, I'm just making millionaires lose their funds. Whatever, dude. Yeah.
Right on. What's your favorite piece of equipment that you've owned or used?
Holy crap. I'm trying to think of all the stuff that I have. It's weird. Right now, when I left Botched Autopsy in February 2020, I bought my first tube amplifier.
Okay.
And I have yet to use that live. So I don't know if I can include that, but that's an Eggenair Armageddon.
Okay.
And I replaced the tubes. I cranked it up. I got boosted. The clean sound's awesome. The overdrive's definitely lacking. It's kind of like a dual rectifier copycat.
Right.
Almost. But something I haven't used live, that's probably my favorite piece right now. But my main guitar is it's a 2003 ESP Viper.
Okay.
And my cousin got it. It's solid mahogany. Like everything, it's super heavy. I replaced the pickups in it with a DiMarzio tone zone and Seymour Duncan distortion, which a push-pull coil tap that I got my buddy Connor Mallory from Deathless to do the wiring in it.
Okay.
And he also replaced the saddle bridge because you can see with your Schecter up there and all the saddle bridge on there, but it has a Nashville style roller tuner bridge.
Nice.
That is really, I highly recommend these things. The sustain on it's incredible. The tone of it is really nice. It stays bright and crisp longer, and the string life just quadruples. It's absolutely amazing what those little bridges can do. And then I went out to Home Depot and bought a push-pull coil tap for like $5.
Nice.
And slapped it in there. But that's my main guitar right now.
And that's been the GOAT for all time, hey?
Before that, my main guitar, my parents, it was probably my parents, the guitar they bought me when I was, I want to say 14 or 15. It's a Dean Flying V Inferno. They made 2007 only. The bitch of it is it's all basswood body, so
right.
It's kind of like it's not much weight.
Just a pickup platform.
Yeah. So I swapped pickups out of that. It had some weird ass Alcano pickups with flames on it. I mean, the guitar looks beautiful. Blue, white, silver flames, inlays going up the neck. It looks, but it's just a total showpiece.
Yeah.
And I did replace the pickups with the old classic John Petrucci setup, the Liquid Fire in Tone Zone. Push-pull coil tap, Nashville style rollator. And I was using that for the longest time. But when I picked up the Viper, I'm like, oh, this is what actual freaking mahogany body sounds like and feels like. I like that better.
Yeah.
So I've been using that for the longest time.
Right. How much gear is too much?
When you can't move in your house anymore. When I can't go, I never had like every time right now I'm in the process. My old amp, I have a Black Star ID 100 head. It's just a total modulation head. I'm gonna trade that. I got a free old crate modulation head, and I'm gonna try to sell those and sell some other stuff so I can go buy a Line 6 Helix.
Okay.
Because I found out with the Helix platform, I can run cables into the Eggenair head and then control the onboard effects and the tube amp itself all push a button.
All right.
I hate that tap dance routine. I've been doing that for years. I had enough of that crap. Time to go more streamlined. For studio time, I'll bust out the analog pedals and get that sound.
Yeah.
But for live performances, I ain't gonna get to. Like, I want it to sound great, so I'm gonna use a tube amp.
Yeah.
But with effects and all that, I'm just like,
Do you get what they call gear acquisition syndrome?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Are you in the hole right now in the spiral buying stuff?
No, because of the holidays. I hate this time of year, by the way. I'm financially strapped right now because of the holidays and everything going on. So I haven't spent much money recently. I do catch myself. Salone's music out in Hagerstown. I catch myself there all the time when I'm like going in to buy just a pack of strings. I'm like, well, I need picks. I need that. How about a harmonica? That'd be cool to one day just go and sit back, and I'll do that and just be like, oh shit, I can't do this. Just get me out of the store. I need a pack of strings. That's all I need. But if I walk in, when I was younger, now this is way before my daughter was born, I walked into Atomic Music out in Beltsville.
Yeah.
And I lost my mind in there for a solid like 4 hours, 5 hours. And I walked out I only walked in there just to see what they had, and I walked out with like $2,500 worth of guitars, like used guitars and hands. I was just going to take them home, strip them down, repaint them, and do everything to them. And I'm like, no. Because one guitar turned into another, and then another guitar turned into another. And I'm like, oh, I don't have a 7-string. I really want a 7-string. Oh, no, you know what'd be cool? I want an 8-string guitar. Fuck that. I'm going to have an 8-string. Oh, man, but that signature guitar is actually the old Jeff Loomis signature. I'll get that too, screw it. You know?
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it gets harder as the years go by, and you start, you stop being a teenager and start factoring your family into the holidays.
Other bills. Like, I have my own. Well, I rent my own townhouse, and I'm gonna try to buy a house within the next year, and then all that other crap going on.
Yeah,
and
right.
Plus,
on.
I just hit a deer with my truck like 2 weeks ago, so I just had to pay to get my truck back.
Whew. Jeez.
Yeah. Fucking deer.
Our condolences to the deer from the Thrash Life podcast.
I actually ate it.
Shout out to dinner from the Thrash Life podcast.
It wasn't in bad shape. Pick it up. I like if I ever like I said, I deer hunt and fish a lot. If I actually have to kill an animal, I don't let anything go to waste.
Right.
That's like a horrible thing for me. That's against my morals right there. So I ate a lot of crazy shit before in my life, but I can tell you right now, most of it don't taste like chicken.
Yeah. Do you have any hobbies or passion projects outside of music that fight for your time doing music?
Oh yeah, outside of work. I also got a daughter too, and I see her. I stop everything I'm doing when I have my kid, but You know, I again been deer hunting and fishing since I was 6.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of my time. Actually, probably after I leave here, I might end up going fly fishing down because there's actually quite a few fly fishing spots around Baltimore.
Oh yeah, I know a guy who does a lot of fly fishing around here.
Yeah, so I've been wanting trying to come out here, so I figured I'd take the opportunity. But you know, fly fishing, deer hunting a lot, and now starting next year, like I said earlier, I'm gonna get into dirt track racing.
Right.
I got an '83 Mustang hatchback that my old man bought
All right.
for me. Of course, the deal is I'll buy you the car, but I'm gonna stick my company's name on the car. And of course, I'm like, well, isn't that how it's supposed to go anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how sponsorships go. So, yeah, next year I'm gonna be doing that. No, outside of that, I just work a lot. Those 4 things and playing in bands. You know, it's the only thing that takes up my life. Of course, I go and see family a lot. And
Yeah.
you know, back in the day, I used to play paintball and do all that other fun stuff.
Oh yeah. Paintball, another time-consuming, kind of expensive hobby.
I didn't know how expensive it got until it was too late, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm already $1,000 worth of gear. Thank God I'm only 19.
Yeah. $1,000 in, and it's just like, wow, there's still $5,000 worth of stuff I could get that looks really nice in the catalog.
It's like fly fishing. I got into fly fishing because the pandemic shut down the state of Pennsylvania to out-of-state fishermen, and that's like half my trout season right there. My dad's like, well, how about you go try out the local fly fish only streams? Like, okay, whatever. He's like, well, go out to Walmart. I saw some fly fishing stuff out there. I walk over to Walmart, go to professional regular fly fishing shops. You'll buy a rod, a reel, all the setup, and be set up, and probably spend almost $1,000. I go to Walmart. I paid like $250, got myself complete set up, and I was sitting at the stream.
Nice.
Granted, my gear was shit.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I'm pretty confident in my ways when it comes to stuff like that. So I was catching fish anyway. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. You don't always need the best stuff to have a good time.
Now, even with music, man, I'm very well known of going through pawn shops and like scraping through stuff.
Yeah.
Because you'll always find a gem. Actually, I just got for free, mind you, for free. I was given a Marshall Triple Super Lead 2000.
Wow.
By a friend of mine. He was actually one of my former coworkers. He does like a side gig where when people move out of their houses, you need somebody to come in, clean it up, and get everything done. Well, his next door neighbor moved, and he's like, well, I got 3 amplifiers over there. Take them.
Wow.
Give them away, sell them. I don't care. Take them. So he calls me up. He's like, hey, Junior. Hey, I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, come down here as fast as you possibly can. I got 3 amps for you. You're going to love them. Check them out. And I walk in there, and it was the crate modulation head I'm trying to get rid of.
Yep.
It was a Marshall acoustic combo amp, and then it was the Marshall Triple Super Lead. The only thing that was bad in the Triple Super Lead was a blown tube, and that was it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know that Triple Super Lead's like, in the condition it's sitting probably about around $800 amplifier, right? He's like, I don't give a shit. Get the fuck out of here. All right. Yeah, Merry Christmas to me.
Yeah. Right on. Could you tell us about your most recent project and where people could find you and your projects on the internet?
Like I said, No Ransom's coming back. That's going to be my one and only for now. You can find us right now. Nothing's active quite yet because we just started practicing again 3 months ago.
Right.
So eventually you'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, No Ransom. You can find me. I'm on TikTok on Reloaded333. My Instagram, I think it's BJNOEL8765.
Okay.
I couldn't remember how to change it from my email address, but whatever. YouTube, Brian Noel Jr. YouTube with the BJNOEL8765. You can catch me on Facebook, Brian Noel Jr. Same thing with all my, the bands and everything. Just general social media pages. You get me back here next year, I want to be a lot more prepared to be like, whipping out lists. Like, yeah, this is what we just did. This is all the socials are set up.
So definitely go throw Brian a friend request and follow his TikTok and stuff, and you'll probably find out more information on No Ransom as soon as he releases it on those platforms.
Yeah, no. On top of that, was all the racing stuff and all that other, all my other hobbies I got going on. I actually got a small following thanks to the hunting and fishing stuff. Just
Nice.
maybe about 2,000 people if I'm lucky, but
Hey, I
they're
mean,
on there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta pay attention to the things you like, and if you're into fly fishing and driving cars around in the dirt and all that other good stuff. And
Yeah. So if you like loud music and you like crazy redneck shit that isn't like bigoted, hit me up.
yeah, right on. Well, Brian, thanks to you so much for coming in today and having this
No,
conversation.
thank you for having me, man. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's been great seeing you. I haven't seen you, like I said earlier, since a show at the Wilson Raritan in Hagerstown years and years and
Jesus
years
Christ.
ago.
I remember when Goat Horde played there, and there was like 10 people in the Wilson, and I was like 14 or something like that, just sneaking in the corner.
I saw that some people are showing up to the Wilson Raritan again, and I can't make any promises as to anything that's going to go on in the future. Got a lot of different musical things going on, but
Yeah, I want to. Right now in Hagerstown, there's a new skate park that's coming in. Because like I said, we were hit pretty hard with the opioid epidemic and all that stuff.
yeah,
But we are coming back in a big way. So there's gonna be more places to play. The scene's gonna open up more in Hagerstown. Like we even got a new baseball stadium coming in and a new skate park, for Christ's sakes. So Hagerstown's gonna bolster pretty quickly here in the next several years.
cool.
And Winchester, Martinsburg, West Virginia, Virginia areas. That's where I usually hang out, and play shows. In the meantime,
Right on.
but hopefully. I'm hoping more clubs or just more underground friendly venues open up.
Yeah,
So don't get me wrong. I love the Wilson Raritan because I love going into places like that and just like, everyone that's above 21, there's a free keg back in the corner. Everybody else just, stay the hell away from it and go jump in the mosh pit and stuff. And,
yeah.
there's no like bar regulars cussing everybody out for the music being too loud. It's just a bunch of like metalheads hanging the hell out and listening to some extreme metal.
Yeah.
Throwing down in the pit a little bit and having some fun.
Yeah. Well, I hope the Hagerstown scene truly does blossom in the next couple of years. I hope your band, spreads its wings and gets out there, and we'll probably check in with you in the future.
Have me back here probably a year from now, and I guarantee you things are going to be a whole lot better, a whole lot different than what it is right now.
Thank you for listening to Thrash Life Episode 5. It's been a blast talking to our guest, Brian Noel Jr., Metal Man of Hagerstown, the cryptid himself.
Yeah, I just sincerely want to thank everybody that's listened this far, and your time means a lot to us.
Right on. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Kyle, for coming in here in the studio with me. Thank you, Brian, for coming in here in the studio with me. Thank you for every one of you who watches or downloads the podcast and listens throughout the week. Thank you to everybody who subscribes, leaves comments, leaves reviews, lets us know what we're doing. Feel free at any point, if you're watching or listening on any platform, to provide your suggestions or hate mail in any form.
We just want to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear from you. So we record this every week in Baltimore, Maryland at Orion Studios. You can find their website online in the show notes below. Also, this podcast is a production of Medusa Head Media, overarching umbrella for many things heavy and weird. If you'd like your band to be recorded or released or have merchandise or anything like that, feel free to reach out via email to medusaheadmedia@gmail.com. We'll try to get back to you in a timely fashion. Thanks once again, and have a great day.
See you next Friday.